Honorable Malik Samarawickrama.
Honorable Speaker, I am indeed privileged to be a member of this August Assembly, and I would like to thank the Honorable Prime Minister for giving me the opportunity of serving our people. As for the budget, I would like to commend the Honorable Finance Minister for presenting a progressive and a forward-looking budget that has placed the country on a path of sustained growth and development. The government's twin objective of promoting inclusive growth and employment generation on the one hand and taking steps to stabilize the economy on the other has been addressed by the Honourable Finance Minister. He has done this within the framework of laying a robust foundation for achieving shared prosperity and protecting the poor and vulnerable. The Finance Minister's task was complicated by a legacy of high and unsustainable debt, low growth in household incomes, and an unbalanced growth model, which had run out of headroom because it was excessively dependent on expensive foreign commercial borrowing. Furthermore, cronyism has stifled private enterprise, ranging from farmers, fishermen, micro and small and medium enterprises to the large corporates. This budget has focused on laying the foundation for an economy which draws on the enterprise and dynamism of our people, an economy that fosters innovation and creativity. This is the only way we can build an economy which flourishes in the context of globalization, which places a very high premium on competitiveness. Our progress has been held back by policy uncertainty and unpredictability. This was largely due to personal discretion rather than principle driving policy making. The widespread corruption, mismanagement, and impunity has served to impose a burden on the people which continues to challenge us. It is a legacy which has compromised the health of public finances and has cast an unnecessarily heavy debt burden not only on the current population of the country, but also on future generations. An inclusive and harmonious society is crucial for achieving social stability, which is a prerequisite for rapid development. The concerted efforts that we are making to promote reconciliation will therefore be important for creating conducive conditions for economic progress. We have ushered in an era of consensual politics. We welcome all sides of this House to join hands with us to develop the country. Building a strong and resilient economy has to be at the forefront of our priorities in a world characterized by increasing risk and uncertainties. This can only be done by all stakeholders working together in the interest of Sri Lanka Incorporated. So businesses, civil society, and the public sector, as well as the government and opposition, must come together constructively to transform the future prospects of this country. We welcome everyone to join us on this long overdue journey. Honourable Speaker, the Honourable Finance Minister has laid down the key principles on which policy will be based. This will introduce greater stability and predictability. The key principles are stable macroeconomic fundamentals that are crucial for accelerated development of the country. For many years now, the budget has been the main source of instability in the system. Large budget deficits have pumped excess demand into the economy, leading to balance of payments and inflationary problems. This has inevitably put downward pressure on the rupee and upward pressure on interest rates. Meeting the aspirations of the people by building a broad middle class will be an overriding objective of our policies. This is the basis for building stable societies. The budget speech has shown us the way forward in this respect. Creating 1 million decent employment opportunities will be the key means through which the objectives of broadening the middle class will be fulfilled. The private sector will be the locomotive for growth and development. The high priority being attached to improving investment climate reflects this. We recognize that it is domestic investors who will have to lead the economic revival. Our policies will not disadvantage them. Honourable Speaker, the majority of our people live in rural areas. The budget has sought to uplift the rural economy on a sustained basis. Developing an internationally competitive economy requires urbanization to generate the necessary economies of agglomeration. We are putting in place policies and programs for this to happen in a regionally balanced manner through the development of several urban hubs. Promoting micro and small and medium enterprises will be the key to achieving shared prosperity. This is why there is a heavy focus on improving competitiveness of MSMEs so that they can plug into domestic and foreign value chains. With a market of 21 million, we have no choice but to rely on export expansion to accelerate growth and development. This will be at the front and center of our development program. All successful countries in Asia have taken advantage of the capital, markets, technology, and know-how that comes with FDIs to boost their export performance. Mr. Speaker, nothing is possible without human resources to support an internationally competitive economy.
Order, please. Honourable Deputy Chairman of Committees will take the chair now.
Honourable Chairman, nothing is possible without human resources to support an internationally competitive economy. This is the rationale for priority we are attaching to education, training and skills development. We also need a healthy population for the well-being of our society. This becomes even more important in the context of our ageing society. Affordable housing is a basic right. Incentives need to be provided for PPPs, house building programs for low and middle class families. This is what the budget has done. Finally, we cannot get away from the fact that we are a compassionate society. It is fully appropriate, therefore, that the budget focuses on taking care of children, women, empowering women, protecting the senior citizens, and supporting the poor and differently able. A social safety net will be provided. Our commitment to price stability as a means of providing relief to the people has again been reinforced in this budget. These are the principles on which the budget was formulated. They will anchor our future policy making. Let me now elaborate on some of the areas covered in the budget, particularly those related to my own ministerial responsibilities. I will take a little time to elucidate how the budget speech has translated some of these principles into concrete actions. As I have said before, the budget deficit has been the main source of instability in the system. The Finance Minister has carefully balanced the need not to take too much demand out of the system at a time when we are trying to strengthen growth impulses in the economy with the need to embark on a program of medium-term fiscal consolidation. By limiting the reduction in overall aggregate demand, he has not squeezed the economy too much at a time when we are trying to stimulate economic activity and there is low growth and sluggish trade in the global economy. However, he has initiated action to achieve better fiscal outcome. Steps have been taken to streamline the tax structure, reduce exemptions, and strengthen tax administration. These measures will strengthen the buoyancy of the tax system and improve revenue collection. In addition, introduction of zero budgeting will improve expenditure management. The restructuring of state-owned enterprises and professionalization of their management will have a positive impact on government finances. Mr. Chairman, Our history of highly politicized mismanagement in the public sector and the lack of fiscal space for statist policies leaves us with no option but to count on the private sector as a locomotive for growth and development. The flatlining of domestic investment at about 22% of GDP has been the most disappointing aspect of the post-conflict narrative. A key theme of the budget speech has been the creation of a better climate as well as direct opportunities for private investment. The opening up of unused and underutilized state land and the creation of an online land bank has been designed to address a major impediment to private investment. Tax incentives have been provided to promote investment in lagging regions such as the north and the east, Monragal and Badulla districts and so on, and for the modernization and expansion of existing facilities and mixed developments. The megapolis project, the new industrial zones, the development of the Hambantota and Trinco areas, PPPs for major infrastructure projects, and special purpose vehicles for existing ones to mobilize resources to retire debt, all offer major opportunities for private investment. Other key investment-friendly initiatives relate to tourism, the Colombo International Financial Centre, capital market and finance sector development, sale of non-strategic government assets, abolition of the archaic Exchange Control Act, and a series of other legislative amendments which improve the business climate. We are acutely aware that it will be the domestic investors who will kickstart the new phase of development and particularly employment creation. In this connection, the Finance Minister has provided support for the construction industry. New anti-dumping and countervailing duty legislation will create a more level playing field for domestic investors. Measures have also been introduced to strengthen innovation, R&D, business startup, venture capital, and private equity ecosystems. In addition, transaction costs for businesses will be driven down by investments we are making to improve connectivity. Road transportation, railways, and inland waterways are all being developed. The private sector must now respond by recalibrating their risk appetite to take advantage of this new era of business-friendly policies. Mr. Chairman, micro and small and medium enterprises are the backbone of the economy. We have recognized that they will play a major role in creating of the 1 million decent livelihoods. The Honourable Finance Minister has identified several thrust sectors. Initiatives such as the MSME Credit Guarantee Scheme, the Large SME Facility, the Fund of Funds for Venture Capital with tax incentives, incubators assisting MSMEs, and efforts to assist them plug into domestic supply chains will all enhance the prospect of this crucial sector. As I said before, this is crucial for sharing prosperity and building a strong middle class. With regard to export expansion, turning around our dismal export performance is arguably our most important task. A lack of attention to boosting exports in a country of 21 million was arguably the biggest folly in the last 10 years. In 1990, Mr. Chairman, our goods exports amounted to 2 billion. In 2001, it went up to 5 billion, and now it is just over 11 billion. In the same period, Vietnam's exports in 1990 was also 2 billion. It went up to 11 billion. It went out to 15 billion in 2001, and presently it is over 157 billion. So you can see the comparison. Similarly, in Bangladesh, it was 5 billion in 2001, and now it is 33 billion. For the record, the exports for Malaysia and Thailand exceeds 225 billion. The urgency and importance of this task is reflected in the establishment of the Export Development Council of Ministers under His Excellency the President and the Honorable Prime Minister. Our primary industries, the establishment of Primary Industries Council and agricultural fisheries zones will promote exports on agriculture, horticulture, fisheries and so on. Our ministry is also revamping the EDB, and it will come under a new agency for international trade. We are also working hard to eliminate the EU fisheries ban and restore GSP Plus concessions within the next 6 to 9 months. A lot of progress has been made in this regard with the assistance of the Honourable Minister Rishad Waduddin and Honourable Minister of Justice and Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs. Work is also going on to sign a framework agreement on the joint economic and technological cooperation agreement between India and Sri Lanka. We are working on a timetable of signing the framework by early January 2016 and completing the negotiations on the full agreement by mid-2016. We will get the views and address the concerns of all interested parties before the agreement is signed, and we will ensure that the agreement will certainly benefit Sri Lanka. An integral part of the negotiations are the effort we are making to address some of the non-tariff barriers, which have been a major impediment to the expansion of Sri Lanka's exports to India. We hope to reach agreement on an early harvest by the time of signing the framework agreement. Mr. Chairman, just for the record, exports to India from Thailand is $5 billion, and from Malaysia and Singapore, it's $7 billion each. And exports from Sri Lanka to India is less than $700 million.
Honourable Member, you have 3 minutes more.
I'll need a little bit more time. In addition, we are studying the implications of the recently concluded Trans-Pacific Partnership for Sri Lanka with a view to considering our interests would be served by applying to join this grouping once it comes into being. The new international agency for trade will give leadership to our efforts in this area. We will draw on the best talent in the private and public sectors to assist us. With regard to the FDIs, it is clearly seen that the FDIs played a central role in boosting export expansion, which has been the key driver of success in the economies of East and Southeast Asia, regardless of size, from China to Singapore. FDIs have been crucial. Our FDI performance has been appalling. Even after 5 years after the end of the conflict, it is still less than $1 billion in 2014. Countries in this region have more than 3 to 4 times that as a percentage of GDP. It is our objective, our aim, to increase the FDIs to $5 billion in 3 years' time. The BOI is also being revamped. It will be located within the new Agency for Development, which will again draw on the best talent from all segments of our economy. We intend to process applications for foreign investment within 45 to 50 days. Mr. Chairman, the abolition of taxes on leases on land to foreigners will remove a major impediment to FDI. These will be made available only to registered investors who will bring in FDIs and provide employment opportunities for our youth. There are opportunities for mega projects in Hambantota and Trincomalee. The Southern Development Authority will lead the efforts to make use of the currently underutilized port and airport in Hambantota. A master plan is being developed for Trincomalee. In addition, the existing and new industrial zones will provide plenty of job opportunities for FDI, including joint ventures. Sri Lanka has no presence in the global and regional value chains. In a world of shared production networks, these are the most dynamic components of international trade. We need to leverage our FTAs with India and China to make maximum use of trade and investment nexus. Going forward, we should have trade agreements with India, China, and other countries in this region. This will give us preferential access to a market of 2.5 billion people. We need to use our new 360-degree foreign policy to attract investment from both East and the West. We have the potential to become a major shipping and airline hub. The budget has a charge priority to attracting global logistical companies. The IT and the IT-enabled services are the fastest growing export sector. The World Bank has stated that this would become a 5 billion export sector by 2020. This year, it should earn about $1 billion. Mr. Chairman, with regard to human resources, very little will be possible without a rapid skilling of our workforce. It is important that we do not let a skill gap become a development trap. Our wages are too high to compete with countries like Bangladesh, Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar. At the same time, we do not have the human resources and productivity to compete with the likes of Malaysia and Thailand. This is why the budget speech has placed so much emphasis on education, particularly in the sciences, IT, English, and mathematics, especially in the rural and regional schools, and on benchmarking the performance of universities and on vocational training and technical education. Priority is also being attached to making sure the additional money being allocated to education is well used. We need to improve the quality of education. Mr. Chairman, in conclusion, I would like to point out that the country is at a very important point in our history. The future has great potential. This can only be fulfilled if we work together as one nation. Divisions based on party affiliation, ethnicity, religion, caste, etc. have to be set aside. We need to have clarity and consistency in our overall strategy. This has been provided by the Prime Minister's economic policy statement and the Honourable Finance Minister's budget speech. Now, most important of all, we need effective implementation. We are creating a new architecture to draw upon the best talent in the country. While this architecture will provide leadership, all other stakeholders in the public sector and business need to pull together to realize the promise of a potentially exciting future. We are determined not to be distracted by petty-minded and inward-looking thinking. The time has come to press on. Mr. Chairman, I sincerely invite all opposition members to join us in developing our country.
Including Honorable Dinesh Kunal.
We all owe it to our people. Thank you.
Thank you very much.